cedis on foreign trips.
And you come from wherever you traveled and you come back and you go back to the people on the ground and you say, vote for me. What do they tell you? The 62 million you chop, give me some before I vote for you. That is fuel monetization.
More as he extols the ideals of the 31st December revolution at a ceremony in the central region town of Winneba. We'll also hear from the man who led that revolution, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlins.
But there are millions alive who cannot forget the dire circumstances that this country found itself in 40 years ago, when the atmosphere was so fragile and volatile.
We have the details also in this package. Electoral Commission makes a strong case for replacement of the current voter management system. And also we'll hear how Ghana's consulates around the world are running out of visas following increasing applications of Africans in the diaspora and others seeking to visit Ghana for the year of return.
It's meant that we've had a lot of visitors to Ghana, evidence in the shortage of visas in most of our embassies across the world, with the office of the Honorary Consulate General of Ghana in Houston, for example, publishing a non-issuance of visas on its website owing to the exhaustion of supply.
We've got details of the president's speech at the Global Black Economic Forum, at which he demands blacks around the world to work hard to ensure the continent is independent of foreign aid.
And the vision is of a black world on both sides of the Atlantic, which leverages hard work, enterprise, creativity, and innovation to engage in mutually beneficial trade and investment cooperation.
Also coming up,
in business, some analysts doubt the financial sector cleanup is over. I'll bring you the views of our panelists on our year in review today.
Well, is Accra ready for the first major party of the year, the Joy FM 90s Jam?
You never try me, always stood right by me, making me reliably, highly, spoken of my only love, only one, you're my one.
Certainly the city is ready for this. All these and more coming up on Newsnight. Newsnight is brought to you by Puma Card from Puma Energy, cash-free convenience. I am Gifty Andoh Appiah. Let's settle for the details of those stories now. Former President John Mahama has questioned why the office of the president spent over 62 million Ghana cedis on foreign trips in 9 months. The expenditure was contained in document presented to Parliament as part of budget estimate for the Office of Government Machinery. In various interviews, government has justified the expenses as within allocations to the office of the president. But in a wide-ranging speech at the commemoration of the 31st December revolution at Winneba today, Mr. Mahama said such spending is not prudent.
When you spend 62 million Ghana cedis in 9 months on foreign travel alone, 62 million Ghana cedis, and you come from wherever you traveled and you come back and you go back to the people on the ground and you say, vote for me, what do they tell you? The 62 million you chop, give me some before I vote for you. That is fuel monetization. When people indulge in corruption or waste of resources and you resort to clearing them without investigation, it fuels monetization.
Sorry. Mr. Mahama also touched on many other issues, from the introduction of the new currency notes to the fight against corruption. My colleague Joseph Akable was at the Winneba Car Park, which was the venue for the commemoration. He joins me now in the studio with more on the issues that emerged there. Joseph, now tell us more about what Mr. Mahama said about the new currency notes.
And so 2 things. The first is about government's pledge to digitize the economy, and the second being a government's pledge again to subscribe to the common currency for the entire continent. So he says the printing of the currency notes defeats the purpose in that regard. We can listen to him.
I cannot understand in heaven why we say we are moving towards a cashless economy. We say that you cannot clear more than 5,000 cedis off the counter because we want people to use less cash in transactions. And then at the same time, you go and print 100 Ghana cedi notes and 200 Ghana cedi notes. You cannot understand what reason in hell would make any government thinking logically do something like that. You want to make it easier for people to carry huge sums of cash when we say we are building a cashless society. And the worst thing is, I was reading in the news 2 days ago, and they said Ghana has declared support to join ECO next year in 2020. So if we're going to join the ECO and adopt the new West African money system, then what is the need to print 100 Ghana notes and 200 Ghana notes on the eve when you are going to join the ECO? The public was ambushed. One day we just got up, they said we're introducing new notes. No public sensitization. The banks received no notification, no public education, and suddenly say start using 100 and 200 Ghana cedis. So definitely somebody takes it to a shop and he says, we don't know about this note.
Well, that's former President John Mahama there. Joseph, he also seems to be providing a new layer to the asset declaration requirements by public officials. What new does he add to the discussion?
He says the current system where once you publish you declare your assets, you hand it over to the Auditor General and no one knows about what's in there doesn't help in the fight against corruption. So he prefers a publication in possibly a public platform to enable others get access to. We can listen to him.
We must strengthen, as General Mosquito said, our assets declaration regime so that people going into public office will declare their assets and, if possible, amend the constitution so that those assets can be published. So that when they leave office, they have to declare their assets again and we can make a comparison and see whether they have not enriched themselves at the expense of the people. A new NDC government will seek to review the law so that everybody from the president right down will not only declare his assets but publish those assets so that all Ghanaians can see what anybody owns. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to restore modesty in government. We need to restore humility in government and identify with the sacrifice of the masses. The 31st December revolution was successful because the masses saw the leadership of the revolution identifying with them. They were not living large while.
We had the former President John Mahama, also the flag bearer of the NDC there, talking about the currency. Well, he also goes on to talk about the new voter register being pushed for by the Electoral Commission, and the Electoral Commission has held a press conference. We'll get to that, but let's go on to talk about the revolution, the commemoration of that revolution at which he was talking. Well, the key architect, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, has been justifying the uprising, which he describes as natural justice. That coup and earlier ones by various soldiers were highlight of the Joy News special assignment documentary titled Scars of the Revolution. Let's hear portions of Mr. Rawlings' speech now.
1979 and 31st December 1981. And some have deliberately spent huge resources sponsoring a distortion of history based on outright lies or half-truths, and the rendition by cowards who ran away during those easy days. The sun is up. Some of you must be hungry. We'll have to get back home to feed our families. Today's 31st. In a few hours, we'll be crossing over into next year. If the sun wasn't so hot, I would share lots of interesting stories about June 4th with you, as well as 31st December. But we'll postpone it and do that another time. For now, let me simply say that some may not want to speak openly about the truth, But there are millions alive who cannot forget the dire circumstances that this country found itself in 40 years ago, when the atmosphere was so fragile and volatile. An important lesson in history. Listen, an important lesson in our Ghanaian history is going to be lost on this nation, on this generation, because a handful of warped minds, full of hate and bitterness, have been paid to distort and cover up events in our history with color stories and lies. Ladies and gentlemen, in 1979, Ghanaians had suffered years of abuse and corruption before and during a Champong regime. The banking sector, especially the Ghana Commercial Bank, was plunged into unimaginable corruption. The bank served as an avenue for cronies and a particular group of people to feed fat on taxpayers' money that were used to create the resources in these banks. They fed fat on loans without adequate collateral. These so-called entrepreneurs, fake, fancy entrepreneurs, took loans, half of it into businesses, and the other half just lived a good life and never paid back their loan. Two other banking institutions, Barclays and Standard Bank, would give you a loan, and they would keep an eye on you and assist you to make sure what you intended to use the bank for, the money for, is used to enable you to succeed and pay back the loan, but not Ghana Commercial Bank. You would think that bank was created for a select group of people who would take loans and hardly ever pay, till the bank would almost become bankrupt and would have to be refinanced, would have to be rebailed out, would have to be recapitalized. Ladies and gentlemen, Acheampong did a few good things. General Acheampong decided to investigate those who had been taking loans over the years, having a good time and not paying. What did he decide to do? He was going to investigate the Ghana Commercial Bank.
Well, that is former President Jerry John Rawlings there speaking at the 38th anniversary of the 31st December Revolution commemoration in Winneba. It was on the theme monetization of elections in Ghana, a threat to national development and genuine democracy. Well, the Electoral Commission has justified its decision to acquire a new biometric voter management system and the compilation of a new register for the 2020 elections and subsequent ones. The voter register was one of the issues Mr. Mahama raised at the Winneba event today.
When you have a voters register that is only 7 years old and you have a database valuably collected that costs you money to build, and then you say, I'm going to throw that database away and build a new database based on a new biometric register at 444 million Ghana cedis, when you could have upgraded the whole system at a little over 200 million Ghana cedis. That is the kind of waste our people are angry with. And that is why when the politician goes back to them, they ask for their fair share of the cake.
Former President John Mahama there was speaking at a press briefing at the EC's headquarters. Deputy Chairman in charge of operations Samuel Tete argued that the electoral management body was compelled to spend huge amounts of money for the refurbishment of biometric voter devices for the just ended district assembly elections. He says a new facial recognition feature for the BVDs will make them robust as the voter register, according to him, is also bloated.
May we now clear the air of some misconceptions regarding the Commission's intention to procure new biometric voter management system and to also compile a new voters register ahead of the 2020 general election. It's been argued that the EC has never compiled new voters register in an election year. This argument is completely false. In 2004, the EC compiled a new voters register prior to the December 2004 general elections. Again, in April to May 2012, a new biometric voters register was compiled ahead of the December 2012 presidential and parliamentary elections. Indeed, the Commission's capability to compile a new voters register in an election year is certainly not in doubt, as explained earlier. Again, we have noted assertions in the public space to the effect that the Commission's intention to compile a new voters register ahead of the 2020 general election is contrary to an ECOWAS protocol that EMBs, that is election management bodies, cannot compile new voters register in an election year. This is also false. What the protocol says is that electoral laws cannot be modified 6 months to the elections.
Well, let's get on the line now. We're joined by the Director of Elections for the NDC, Mr. Elvis Gifty Andoh. Mr. Gifty Andoh, thank you so much for your time this evening here on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, and good evening to everybody. Happy 31st.
Well, you've had Mr. Tete there make the point that contrary to views that we've not had to compile a new register in an election year, if you look at what happened in 2004, 2012, it clearly contradicts your argument.
Let me just put on record that I listened to snippets of what he said. I've also seen some reports on social media, and I've not had the opportunity to listen to the entire delivery. And so we'll be responding appropriately when we get the opportunity to listen to everything that he said. Be that as it may, let me deal with some of the issues that he just spoke about. And so we're talking about an ECOWAS protocol that says that new innovations should not happen 6 months before an election. And then it refers to 2004 and 2012 and says that we had a new voters register in those years, and therefore this one is justified. He fails to inform the public that with those particular cases, the processes were very transparent, particularly in 2012. There was a technical and legal committee that was set up by the Electoral Commission, made up of all representatives of the political parties and the donor community and civil society, together with the IT team of the EC, and they all sat down. That was prior to 2012, that was in 2011, to look at the systems, to look at potential vulnerabilities, because every IT system has potential vulnerabilities. And you are procuring a system that is going to be deployed to be used for the political parties. So the political parties are critical stakeholders in the process. And so that EC then, in order to ensure transparency and build confidence, which are very essential prerequisites for every peaceful and successful election, decided to bring everybody to the table. Everything was done in an open and transparent manner. There was consensus, and the procurement process started in 2011. So by May, June, indeed, the equipment were delivered, training was done, and we were able to have a registration. in this particular instance, if we are to believe the EC, if indeed they are yet to procure, because there are rumors that all these things that they are doing is just a charade, and that perhaps the equipment could be in. I just hope that is not true. But if indeed it is true that they are going through a genuine procurement process, then it means that by the time they go through the entire process, order equipment, get it shipped, delivered, installed, train 40,000 people, 60,000 people across the country, test the system, we're running into middle of the year, latter part of the year. Don't forget that they also intend to do ROPA. Again, they are not being open and transparent about it. We don't know how many countries they intend to do ROPA in. We've not had any meaningful discussions. So the whole issue surrounding this particular biometric procurement has been shrouded in half-truths, falsehoods, deception, and lack of conduct.
Well, Mr. Frianka, if I understand what you've just said clearly, you don't seem to have, in principle, a disagreement to the new voter register. Your issue is with transparency, correct?
That's not what I said. I'm surprised you are interpreting it that way. We all agreed that there may be the need for an upgrade of the system, but we are very clear and emphatic that we are totally against using cumulatively 767 million Ghana cedis, because the 440 is just for the equipment. If you look at the actual registration itself, that is going to cost another 300 plus million. So the total will be 767 million cedis to procure a new biometric register. It just does not make sense. When you have rich data of almost 17 million people, there's nothing wrong with the data that they use for limited registration. Recently, the same equipment, the same system, data and systems that they use for the district assembly elections, systems that they use for demarcation of the region. So what systems were they going to use for the referendum? So I think that some of the reasons that they are putting out are simply untenable. They are preposterous. They will not stand the test of proper scientific scrutiny. And at the appropriate time, very soon, in the next few days, we're going to come out and show the public that all that they are doing is just to find excuses to spend our money unjustifiably.
Okay,
and it is unacceptable.
Mr. Frianka, hang on for me, because you mentioned the issue of transparency. Once again, the EC has been responding to that particular issue. Please listen.
This will prevent vendor locking and ensure that the Commission takes control of its own affairs and limits the dependency on vendors. By insisting on this standard and open systems approach, the Commission would not be limited in future in terms of human resources and technology for its future expansion needs. The Commission is also undertaking discussions with our stakeholders, including the political parties, at the recently ended demonstrations of the hardware and software solutions for the compilation of the register. A number of political parties were there to observe and offer feedback to the Commission. The Commission will deepen its arrangements with stakeholders, including the media and civil society, in the coming weeks. The Commission will ensure that the registration process is seamless and not time consuming.
Mr. Frianka, you've heard the EC. Your response?
That is total deception. If you recall, on the 27th of March, we went for a meeting. You all know what happened at that meeting, where the EC deliberately misinformed the public that the issue of the biometric voters register had been discussed. They put out a public announcement to that effect, which we challenged. Later, they apologized and withdrew. That then created an atmosphere of suspicion. Subsequently, we were invited to two emergency meetings, 25th and on the 2nd of 25th November and 2nd of December, where the issue of the biometric register was smuggled in. we raised a number of issues and asked the EC, in fact, all the political parties asked the EC to provide us with documentary evidence because they claimed that there was a technical report that stated that the system had to be changed. They also stated that the cost of refurbishment was going to be higher by $20 million than buying the new equipment. So we asked for three things. Let us have a copy of that report. Let's have the cost of the refurbishment, and let's have the cost of the new equipment. We did not receive any of these three documents. And then they invited us to a so-called demonstration, which we boycotted because we felt that they were not acting transparently. In any case, any institution that is worth this salt builds its practices based on best practice. So the previous EC, when they wanted to do a new biometric register, they had nothing to hide. They set up a technical committee and set up a legal committee. It is that technical committee and the legal committee that agreed together with the vendors that the vendors should then control access. But that access will be shared between the vendors, the EC, and the political parties. So this story about the EC did not have control, it was a confidence-building measure because the political parties were all suspicious of the EC. So we said, let a neutral person, a neutral body hold the access, but they cannot gain access until certain protocols are followed. So why is he now using that as an excuse? And why are they failing to set up the technical committee such that all the parties would have an inkling and an insight into the kind of system that they want to deploy? So we insist that they are not being transparent, they are not being open, and we are going to do everything politically and legally possible to ensure that this will not happen. And if anybody thinks that we are bluffing, they should get ready. We mean business.
Well, finally, it appears that EC is bent on going ahead with the process.
Well, we are also bent on ensuring it doesn't happen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Friankwa. He is the Director of Elections for the opposition NDC. Now, moving on, the National Teaching Council has described as worrying the position of NDC flag bearer John Mahama to scrap the teacher licensure examinations if re-elected as president. Mr. Mahama, in a Facebook Live address earlier this month, expressed strong views about the licensure exams.
If we improve the examination, the final exam that they take, and we improve the quality of teaching and learning in the colleges of education, you don't need for them to pass their exams, come out and go back and write a licensing exam. And so when we come into office, we'll take out the licensing exam, we'll improve the quality of teaching and learning in the colleges of education so that when they pass their exam for the colleges, you know that this is a person who is a professional teacher and can handle the children that they'll be given.
Well, that's former President John Mahama there. In an interview with Joy News, however, chairman of the, the comment did not go down well with the Teaching Council, which has issued a statement clarifying its position on the matter. Here are excerpts of a statement issued by the General Secretary, Thomas Musa. Right to you.
We write to react to the discussion on the Joy News File program on Saturday, 28 December 2019 on former President John Mahama's recent Facebook Live interaction in which he is quoted to have said his government, if elected into power, will do away with the licensure of teachers' examinations. Management of the Ghana National Association of Teachers officially and categorically states that the licensure of teachers is a government policy and not the origination of NAT. Thus, any public or veiled or seeming attempt to link the association with its operationalization by any government in power is not authorized. As an organization, ours is to stand to defend what is good for our teachers and the education enterprise in general. We work with every government, so we move with policies of every government. In the light of our above stance, we would not be drawn into any debate over the licensure policy.
That's the statement by Nat read to you by Komla Adom there. In an interview with Joy News, however, Chairman of the National Teaching Council, Professor Eric Nyako Samson, described the former president's position as worrying. He says it flies in the face of global efforts to professionalize teaching.
The licensure, it's about how you enter into a profession. And so to speak, licensure is the first step of professionalization. So it's first only for those who are entering the profession. So if you say that you want to scrap it, then how are you going to professionalize it? There is the need for licensing so that those who will enter will know that, well, this is the gate we are entering. And if you compare it with all the professions, I think it shows. And so to say to scrap it, it's a little bit worrying. Just last week, I think his program was on Monday. The previous Thursday, we held a stakeholders meeting with the teacher unions, the principals of colleges, with universities, to show them how far we have come, written about 4 or 5, what have we seen and what's the way forward. It can't be that teaching would be the last resort. It can't be that teaching will be so much open to everybody.
Well, you're still listening to the News Night here on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Gifty Andoh Appiah. Still to come is a crowd ready for the first major party of the year, the Joy FM 90s Jam.
You never try me, always do right by me. Make it live lively, highly. Smoking of my only love, only one. You're my wife.
VC. Well, that's what shows that Accra is ready for the 90s Jam, the first and the last party of the year. George, are you ready?
We are just ready. Even
Yes.
ready is an understatement.
This is not mouthful.
Oh, it's not. But I'm always there. You see me in my, my.
Okay.
The Tupac thing,
With side
I mean,
chicks.
some of us, not side chicks. I mean,
Okay.
we're a great fan of one of the best rappers and legend in rap music, Tupac.
Oh, okay.
So, we have to be there to pay.
Certainly.
tribute
And
to
George
him.
is inviting everybody to be there, including
All the
Kiki
fans
Kumsin.
of Tupac, they should be there.
Yeah, they will certainly be there. What's happening in business?
Well, Gift will be telling you the views of our analyst on our year in review on the financial sector cleanup and also about the introduction of the ECO and some development in the region. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business, Kingdom Books and Stationery. Your number one stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank. We are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank. How can we help you?
Your message is simple. If you say MTN Mumu, it give you life very simple. This trip for there, you're getting 200%. Top up your airtime with your MTN Mumu wallet. A breakthrough the pie. Enjoy 200% bonus on any amount you recharge with your MTN Mumu. 3 times your recharge money. You can't believe it, me boy. Dial *170# to top up your credit and feel the 200% essentially. For about the bra, then calculation the reality no. 72 Ghana cedis we are here
200%.
75 Ghana we are here
200%.
20 Ghana we are here
200%.
200% bonus no. You feel our Ghana's best network. Dial *170#. Now go option 7. Now back home. Now you claim your 200% bonus no. Just Momo it. We there for you everywhere you go. Terms and conditions apply.
As 2019 comes to a close and the festivities set in, we would like to thank you for partnering with us this year. In the world of First National Bank Ghana, your business is our business. And we trust that this last year has seen opportunities unlocked, innovation enabled, and growth gained. May 2020 hold even more for you. We look forward to sharing it with you. And so, a mindful, meaningful, and happy holiday to you. Best wishes, First National Bank, Ghana.
We give you nothing but the best, we stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Books and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop where customer satisfaction is is a guarantee. Kingdom Books and Stationery.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
Start making the simple things simpler. Start using your MasterCard instead of cash. Start buying groceries, shopping online, or at your favorite store, all using your MasterCard. Start enjoying the freedom of a MasterCard in your pocket, knowing the simple things are taken care of with easy, safe, and secure transactions. Ask your bank for your MasterCard. Better than cash.
At the count of three, I want everybody in the place to be to make some noise if you're down with me. 1, 2, 3.
It's time to take you back to the 90s. It's time for the Joy of the 90s Jam. Over 10,000 watts of sound power. Blasting your favorite 90s hits. DJ Black, DJ Sammy Fawcett, and other guest DJs will blast you up this Friday, 3rd January 2020 at the rooftop of the Silver Star Tower Airport. Rate 60 cities per person. Time is popping up at 9 p.m. Can you do the Hummer? Can you do the Running Man? Can you do the Buggle? The Joy of the 90s Jam, sponsored by Glyco, will cushion you for life. Aloma Bitters, Vital Mineral Water, pure, rich, and natural. The Joy FM 90s Jam, this Friday, the first Jam of the year 2020, rooftop of Silver Star Tower Airport. Yeah!
Well, I said the massive road and come in. I know the zero is back for the dance and scene. I know the massive come here for let have some steam. Mister.
Welcome back to Business on News 9. Now, the financial sector cleanup is not over. Now, that's the view of some panelists that spoke on the Joy Business Year in Review on the Journey channel on Multi TV today. The various regulators of the financial sector, that is the Bank of Ghana and the Securities and Exchange Commission, have all announced the completion of this exercise. By speaking on the Year in Review program, these panelists gave their views on why they think that the issues might continue into next year. Let's hear the thoughts of Tuma Emery, his editor of the Gold Street Business and Financial Lecturer and economist, Professor Godfrey Popping.
You just played something for us here from the market women. You understand?
Yeah, I did.
There are key stakeholders.
Yeah.
And they are not settled because they haven't gotten their money. There's lack of liquidity flow
But
in the system.
maybe can we equate the completion to the regulatory actions and not the fact that everybody is getting its money?
Look, there is an extent to how far Bank of Ghana can go. There is an extent to how far Ghana government can go in terms of providing
anybody getting any money out of it is even lucky. There are no laws in Ghana that guarantee anybody's deposit, whether banks, whether savings and loans, whether microfinance. They were even lucky that the government decided to give them something. That is the truth of the matter.
And I think that because all of that is being loaded onto the public desktop, and as we are talking right now, government is talking about keeping to the deficit of 5% or less. If you add the financial sector bailout and energy sector intervention, the deficit is 7%. It's more than the limit in the Fiscal Responsibility Act. And the good news is that we are treating the financial sector and then this thing as exclusion.
So look at the stats. Right now, Ghana's public debt now is about 200 billion, right?
It's 208 billion.
208 billion.
And then September,
how much have we spent on the financial sector cleanup so far?
About 13 billion or 12 billion.
16.2
about 16 billion. What we are saying is that about 8% of our entire public debt is for.
They've also been talking about the economic grouping that is ECOWAS being under threat, as well as plans to issue the single currency vehicle.
Well, yeah, in a way you can, because in this case, Nigeria is like
we can do without you.
Of Britain. Yeah, we can do without. We can
that
do
is
without
the signals in the post
that they feel we have this very strong economy, that's the biggest economy in Africa, and you guys want a piece of us. kind of attitude.
But I can tell that Nigerians stand to gain a lot more, because if you look at the movement of Nigerians across the African continent today, it's very huge.
Yeah.
And you heard Tom Emery, editor of Go Street Business and Finance Lecturer in Economy, Professor Godfrey Bopin, sharing their views on Joy Business's year review on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. The National Communications Authority says it is working on the new service regulations for the sector. The move is part of efforts to improve consumer experience and better regulation of the industry. Director of Consumer and Corporate Affairs at the National Communications Authority, Nadu Febedu, who disclosed this to Joy Business, who has some advice for consumers when it comes to siting of masts in communities.
We've been working again with the industry on this, especially the tower companies. There's a reluctance of people to have masts and towers around them. And I'd like to assure people that these masts and towers are not harmful. They are monitored, the emission levels are monitored, and we ensure that these emission levels are in line with the WHO standards. And so people should not be apprehensive or afraid or be so aggressive or antagonistic towards the siting of these mast and towers. The more mast and towers we have, the better the quality of service. That's just one reason for us having poor quality of service. In addition to that, we have these issues of fiber cuts as well too. We have people digging indiscriminately and people just digging and cutting the fibers, even though there are markers showing that there's a fiber laid below. So these are all things that affect the quality of service. But yes, indeed, we're working with them. What we're planning on in the coming year is to have a major engagement with consumers on mast and towers, especially within the tertiary institutions and within areas that you would call the East Legons, the Trasacos, and all that.
That's the Director of Consumer and Corporate Affairs at the National Communications Authority, Nana Dufiebedu. And that's all for Business on Newsnight.
George, thank you very much for bringing us business. Have a good enjoy the rest of the evening. I don't know why Benedict is giggling, but I suppose I can understand. Have a good evening.
All right.
All right, and that's it for business. Let's move on now. We're talking about the DVLA. Certainly, you'll be looking forward to register your new vehicle. Well, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, says from next year, vehicle registration processes will be completely digitized and automated to prevent leakages and eliminate potential duplications. Pictures of vehicles with same registration numbers have gone viral on social media. A statement signed by the manager of Public Relations at the DVLA, Francis Tufo, says the authority is investigating that matter. The authority also says new license plate prefixes will be introduced for new vehicle registrations. Let's get more explanations from Francis Tufo, who joins us live on the phone lines. Mr. Tufo, thanks for your time this evening. I'm here on Newsnight. Do you explain more to us the automation process to be introduced next year?
Thank you very much, my sister. And then let me also take the opportunity to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Yes. Please go ahead.
Yes, sure. I mean, looking at the happenings over the week and DVLA management that we have to speed up our process to ensure that we put enough measures in place to help deal with some of these issues. For instance, the introduction of the VRS, or what we call the Vehicle Registration System, will help check some of these excesses in the system. For instance, when you come with your vehicle on January 2nd, you will have to register your vehicle, get every document of it, and push it straight onto the system. We will not just register your vehicle and then give you just your document or create a file for you to go. No. It will go, we created a system, we digitized the whole DVLA system, the processes and procedures have been captured. So even if you register your vehicle in Accra, Tamale, Kumasi or Cape Coast will get that signal that a vehicle number JOY1 belongs to Joy FM. It will signal, that indication will come, that it is for Joy FM. So even if somebody is with their sister station, Adum, wants to get the same number JOY1, it will pop up to say that no, that number has been registered already.
Okay. At the moment, you don't have that system.
That is the meaning that we're not going to have that duplication in the system again.
Tell us about the new plate prefixes. How about the old ones? If new vehicles are getting these, then what happens to the old vehicles?
Yeah, I mean, for the new prefixes that we are introduced, is for new vehicles. And the idea is that we want to decongest areas of operation where, most especially within the first quarter of the year, January, February, March, the number of vehicles get into our areas to have number plates registered within a short period of time. We want to avoid a situation where people will come queue for hours without getting their vehicles registered.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tufo. Francis Tufo there. He is the manager of public relations at the DVLA, and Benedict is here with sports. Benedict, have you gone to renew your vehicle, roadworthy and all
no,
those
I
things
haven't.
already?
I'll do that. My will expire. That's somewhere in February. Yeah, so I'll do that.
Good for you.
I'll
What's in
definitely
sports?
do that. Okay, well, so already there's a coaching casualty in the week-old Ghana Premier League. Now, Accra Hearts of Oak will have a new coach in 2020 after parting company with coach Krim Grant. Now, this comes after their match day 1 defeat to Bekum Chelsea at the Accra Stadium. There is more in the following report.
The Heart of Folk Twitter handle announced the sacking of Krim Grant earlier today at 5:30 p.m. This was their post, and I quote, "Accra Heart of Folk and Director of Football Krim Grant have parted ways. Edward Neodum takes over with immediate effect as the head coach. The club would like to ask for continued support from Coach Odum, and we wish Coach Grant the very best in his future endeavors." End of quote.
All right, and this is very serious. I mean, if you look at Accra Hearts of Oak, in the last decade, they've sacked 19 coaches.
Will you call that a proactive management? Or?
Which proactive? from 2009 up to date, as we sit here.
Well, they want the best.
Coaches.
If they're not getting, they keep changing.
You want the best thing if you're not getting. So why are you hiring people that you are not the best, and then you sack them? You understand? And you look at the reactions on social media. As I speak to you now, Hearts of Folk, they are trending. Kim Grant is actually trending, and I'm going to read some of the reactions to you, so you get an idea of what exactly is going on. So, Yao Fred. He tweeted Yao Fred, and he says the problem is not about sacking coaches. I believe it is purely spiritual. Most of the past board members and management disrespected about the way they were pushed out of the club and now dealing with the team spiritually. So he believes that some of the board members that were pushed out of the club, they are dealing with the team spiritually. So, and also one guy writes, that's Don Papel. Why are you guys joking with our team like that? How many coaches have been sacked, and what's the outcome? You understand? Now you can't keep doing same things. You can't keep doing same things and expect different results. Kofi Blackstar also writes, totally unwarranted. People need time to work on a project. One game into a new season and you sack him. So how are we going to go through this? Now, Heart of Folk just lost a gem. Never going to find someone like that again. This one is coming from Golden Low Potato. So generally, the views on social media, clearly, the fans are not happy with the decision to part company with Krim Grant.
Well, we don't know, but maybe 2020 will be a different year for the team. Benedict Owusu there with sports. Let's talk about the year of return, because most of Ghana's consulates around the world are said to have run out of visas as a result of the increased applications by Africans in the diaspora following the launch of the year of return activities. Addressing the Global Black Economic Forum at the Mervyn Peck Ambassador Hotel today, President Akufo-Addo described the concept as a successful one. Listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, when I proclaim 2019 as the year of return to commemorate the 400th anniversary of the arrival in 1619 of the first 20 West African slaves in the Commonwealth of Virginia, which was subsequently to become a part of the United States of America, the joint purpose was to bring together Africans, persons of African descent, and all well-wishers and lovers of freedom, to strengthen our collective commitment to ensuring that blots in our history, such as the transatlantic slave trade and slavery, never reoccur, and to provide the platform for strengthening the ties of solidarity amongst all peoples of African descent. I traveled to the United States of America and to the Caribbean to send this message to our kith and kin over there and invited them to come here to join us for this commemoration. Events such as the Homecoming and Investment Summit, the African American Investment Forum, the Pan-African and Emancipation Day celebrations, the Film Festival, the Durbar from Jamestown to Jamestown, and the granting of Ghanaian citizenship to 126 diasporans are some of the programs that have been held to mark the year-long event. It has meant that we've had a lot of visitors to Ghana, evidence in the shortage of visas in most of our embassies across the world, with the Office of the Honorary Consulate General of Ghana in Houston, for example, publishing a non-issuance of visas on its website owing to the exhaustion of supply. Statistics from the Ministry of Tourism indicate that 200,000 more people took up the offer to return to the motherland. I'm told that by the end of the year, we're expecting to hit the magic figure of 1 million visitors.
President Akufo-Addo also says blacks around the world must work hard and excel in industry. He says Africans and those in the diaspora must have the vision of creating a continent that does not depend on aid.
The realization of the dream of a continent of confident, educated, and skilled people is within our grasp. That continent would be an Africa beyond aid. The vision is of a black world on both sides of the Atlantic, which leverages hard work, enterprise, creativity, and innovation to engage in mutually beneficial trade and investment cooperation that will guarantee the prosperity of black people the world over. We will achieve the dignity and respect we deserve, and we will do so on our own terms. Today, nobody sneers at the Chinese. Tomorrow, nobody will sneer at Africans and black people.
President Akufo-Addo, the year of return has been under the management of the Ghana Tourism Authority, which has already spent over $1 million on the project. Chief Executive Officer Kwesi Agyeman has been explaining the way forward after this year's event. He spoke on our sister station, Asempa FM, on Ekusi saying.
So the president has mentioned that he's overwhelmed by the numbers that have come, and so far he says 1 million have come. Have we checked the number? Is it accurate?
He knows we are going to hit the magic 1 million number. That is how I heard him say, because as of September, we are around 763 arrivals and 1,000 arrivals. And the previous year, I think around the same time, we were about 600 or so. And we ended the year around 900. And so it tells you that given that we had 3 months to go, because we will only get the data in January. Immigration provides us that data on a quarterly basis. We'll get the data in January, but we're very, very confident that we'll cross the 1 million mark.
How has it impacted our culture as a country?
If you look at some of the things that I've seen on social media, people, the kente, quite interesting. But people are adopting. People are adapting and adopting. And so it's a good feeling. Most of the people who came in, we had to hire cultural troops to welcome them. And people, having people like Beyonce's mom dance Adwa in Accra, it's priceless. Because these are people who have following. If Beyonce retweets that, do you know the amount of eyeballs and things that people will see? So for us, our culture is something that we've projected quite strongly out of the year of return. There are a few areas that we could have done better in terms of frontlining our festivals, but we also concede that the year was a year of commemorating 400 years of the slave trade, and so it wasn't possible to bring in all the festivals and our cultural bits. But that is something that we are looking to do beyond the return, so that when people come in, we know they have come, but they will come back. We are not just taking them to Amina and Cape Coast. the festivals are there. For example, the Full Circle were here. They were last Sunday at Menchia for Akwasidai. And a lot of them came with some different outlook and feeling about Ghana, because what they saw in Cape Coast Salmina is totally different with what they saw in Kumasi. And what we are telling them is that there's more.
Akwesi Ajiman is Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Tourism Authority, speaking to Joy News Brother. From grocery shops to restaurants and masquerader costume makers, the economy in the Western Regional Capital, Takoradi, has seen arguably the biggest boost this festive period as a result of the carnival. My colleagues Komla Adom and Mapito Sebidi, who spent Christmas in the Oil City, report both small and big businesses cast in as thousands thronged the region to be part of this year's carnival.
30 CDs for one mask. We haggle with the 10-year-old in front of the Valencia Fancy Masqueraders Club shop, where the costumes, what the locals call bojia, a handheld wiggly chant stick made of animal fur or bristles, and other accessories are being made and sold.
A summer hat, a mask, and a wriggly stick. We bought all these from artisans here. But for time constraints, we'll have had a full masquerade fancy costume made for us as part of a carnival.
This costume costs at least 240 CDs to make. Every year comes with its own unique costume design for each of the over 40 fancy masquerader groups. Groups with membership of between 500 and 3,000.
Now, the fabric shops are benefiting from the boom. Also, the tailoring shops are cashing in. Some of the masquerader groups have created a fashion design wing which caters for the costumes of its members.
Along the streets of the market circle, all manner of food vendors are cashing in. Water, beverages, and the like.
We are still on the floats here at the market circle area, and businesses as well are cashing in. This is a young lady who is selling sachet water. We'll start saying the money and then on back in our phone. She's in a business here. So she says she's been able to sell 7 bags so far, and the day is not even halfway through.
Komla Adom and Mapito Sebedi filed that report when they went to Takoradi to have some more fun. Well, let me tell you about what's going to happen on Friday. Is it Obrafo's Yanum, Tic-Tac's Philomena, or Naughty by Nature's Jamboree that gets you into the groove? What's your favorite 90s song? As we prepare to dance the night away at the Joy FM 90s Jam this Friday, some people we caught up with on the streets of Accra have been singing their favorite songs from the 90s.
Na mini obe bi she dwaye ye bompaye asrebo ne fache na mini obe bi she dwaye ye bompaye asrebo ne fache me say why na goga so konfo se ko be ma swezi why na goga so konfo se ko one why goga so konfo se ko one why goga what's it called? We'll be out to say, my favorite say, Missy Ashura, only wine walker. So what's it called? Yanum, Muntie, brafo, mini, Yanum, Tie Muntie, brafo, mini. Check it out, y'all. Yanum, Muntie, brafo, mini. Yanum, Muntie, brafo, mini.
No cry, I was Samika. Now, the papa and narrator. Your premier, I hold the Anisika. Mashana, if you're coming, Nana. Miss Yasemia Hamming, Mega. Asemia Hamming, Mega.
So certainly you want to come have fun with us on Friday at the Silver Star Towers. It's 60 CDs. You can pick up a ticket at the front desk here at Joy FM, or you can meet us at the gate. All of us will be there Let's make a date. And that's it for Newsnight. Our top stories this hour. NDC flag bearer John Mahama takes on President Akufo-Addo for spending 62 million cedis on foreign trips, and also Electoral Commission makes a strong case for replacement of the current voter management system. There's more news at myjoyonline.com. My name is Gifty Andoh Appiah. Many thanks for your time.